Hello and welcome to the weekly oracle reading for the week beginning 24th of November onwards. The deck that I'm using today is a different one. Let's tune into our cards right away. Brilliant idea, and that's Archangel Uriel saying, yes, your idea is divinely guided. Please take action to bring your idea to fruition. So it seems to me that you have figured out a way to go forward with something that you've been harboring for quite some time now. Okay? It's something that's come from your lessons, and you've learned your lessons. You've decided to look at the silver lining instead of the dark clouds, and that kind of thing, and you're charging ahead. Okay, and yes, there's a flash of brilliance, as this card suggests. This is definitely a breakthrough idea we're talking about, a breakthrough solution rather, presenting itself sometime this week. And I think in just changing your attitude towards that whole issue, something's coming your way to help you out. I'm sensing this is something to do with emotions in general. Or it could be a new way of looking at a relationship. It could be, you figuring out a way of how to deal with people in general. Or it could even be something where you invest your emotion into something like a creative project. Look for answers in whatever arena where you tend to invest your emotions. And I'm also getting the sense that it would kind of give you a sense of conviction around the full moon, because it's leading up to that. Meaning, I think you will get a more sense of conviction about this endeavor that you're moving forward with, and it's going to take you somewhere. Then yes, you've been promised that you will find that something that can really change things for good for you. Outdoors, and that's Archangel Raphael saying, go outside, get some fresh air, and connect with nature to release stress and gain new creative ideas. Okay, now I feel this is actually a natural consequence to the Sagittarius new moon that we had on 22nd. What they're saying is this energy that we're talking about is a wiser version of Sagittarius energy. Okay? So I feel this is not one of those light-hearted travels that we're talking about. We're talking about traveling for a purpose. And they're bringing my attention to the fact that this is closely tied up with this idea that they spoke about in the first card, the brilliant idea. Okay? So I think you're being suggested to take nature's aid to get the best of that idea, to have that focus. So if this is a spiritual retreat in a natural environment, a group meditation, or very widely put, maybe a group pagan retreat, whatever that is, that kind of thing. It has something more to do with your spirit. I wouldn't exactly say religious. I would say spiritual. Okay. If this is a religious institution for you, where you find this kind of space for yourself, where you think you can, or you have always been to that space to get answers, I think probably you should take your query of this idea, whatever that is, and go and spend some time in that space to figure out how to take it further. So I think there's a lot of support from your own guidance that can speak to you whenever you spend time outside your familiar surroundings. That's what this basically means. And there's also an aspect of this card that actually asks you to focus on the beauty of the process and not feel so uptight about, hey, so I'm here doing a travel, I ought to be really serious about doing this spiritual thing, or doing this meditation, so to speak. What they're saying is it's quite the contrary. You just have to be yourself. And I think, in actuality, there is no seriousness in life that's required. You just have to be aware. You don't have to be serious, okay? There is some creativity involved in this. Now, creativity doesn't mean that, you just have to be in a creative profession. You could be applying your creativity in day-to-day chores, okay? Like finding a more simplistic solution, I don't know, to cook a certain way, or maybe, cook some batch of cookies with a secret ingredient which you think could be magical. Experiment is what I'm getting. Okay. So if there's something related to gardening or cooking, I won't be surprised. A lot of people are at the moment being drawn towards nature and preservation and organic farming and uh, organic manuring and stuff like that. Heed your own conscience, and I think you will be brought to some sort of, I think, peace and release. That's what I'm getting from this. Okay, so lighten up. Now again, I'm not saying get lightened up for being excited, just lighten up in a way that you're not uptight and restricting your opportunities for growth. Okay, divine order. Archangel Raguel says everything is how it needs to be right now. Look past the illusion and see the underlying order. Okay, let's just go with the example of spiritual retreat. Okay, maybe you're gaining a new insight into how to see things or how to see life, and you're beginning to actually believe it. So when you say believe, we're talking about change at the core of your being. You're literally changing the way you look at things. Okay, and I'm saying this is not a radical change. It's a slow and smooth transition in your belief, and it's not disorientating, it's more balanced. Okay, so if you can go to this quiet space and meditate on your brilliant idea or focus on your query, whatever you wish to ask guidance for, you will begin to see yourself as a person who's experiencing life, who's going through life experiencing it and not owning anything. If you can take some time and think on those lines, you will begin to see how detached you must be so as to not be affected by things around you. Okay, now some of us are too attached to what we do, some of us are too attached to our family, some of us are too attached to fame, power, money, because we tend to associate with anything outside us as means of making us feel better. The only reason why you don't feel better is that you haven't had this conversation, or you haven't had this belief that you are worthy of something. So there is a suggestion of not letting things happening around you affect your decisions in changing things within you for better. Yeah, they're saying it's a fine interplay between participating as well as reflecting, and you kind of have to juggle with the things a little bit. And when you do that, I think that's when you really get the sense of how to lead a balanced life. Okay, so don't try and be at the perimeter of a rotating circle. Instead, if you try and be at the center, it looks the same more or less from every which angle whatsoever. Now, when you gain that realization, I think you will start beginning in those lines which tells you that it's irrelevant what I try and do to get XYZ results. Instead, I'd rather follow on my intuition to do stuff. Okay, and the last card is prioritize. This is Archangel Metatron saying focus on your highest priorities. I will help you get organized and motivated. So yes, so I guess if you can gain a sense of objectivity about the happenings in your life, you will learn to detach from them slowly. Now, detach doesn't mean that you won't be able to experience emotion. It just means that you won't be attached to the outcomes of whatever you try to do. This is more to do with you being prepared for something big, but because you want to feel the pleasure of having to do so. So here there are some crucial decisions you have to make. I think there is a commitment that's called for. It seems like it's an important thing to do, and it will really get you somewhere where you realize maybe I wasn't thinking big after all, and it looks bigger. This is definitely your destiny, and it's going to ask you to step up again. And there's a turning point, a major turning point that's happening sometime in December. And they're saying that this is just an intermediary process being activated. Many steps that you have to climb towards your destiny. It's an incremental spiritual growth for you in some way. So interesting. That's all I can say right now. Precaution is that whatever decisions or steps that you will take must be done in a way that it honor your own values. And meaning this also means that you have to honor the cause and effect law, which is karma. You have to do it in a way because it makes you feel right, not because you're expecting a result. You have to be in the good side of receiving karma. Then you must be a person who's willing to go through this chaotic world with no expectation at all, because that's where your true power is. It's not about proving yourself. And yes, I think you will have a great time with this, because towards the end of the week, I think we have Mercury shifting signs. I think it will be moving to Sagittarius. And then we have a stellium in Sagittarius. So you're really being asked to walk the talk. We're talking about really powerful energies. So when you go along with those energies, it can really take you far. When you stand against them, it can really take you back. When you realize that you're powerless to stand against a 100-foot wave that's about to hit you, you either can be a dumb guy who thinks that, I'm going to just do things against it or run away from it, or you can be the guy who just hopes to live to see another sunrise by promising yourself that you will do whatever it takes to survive that wave once it hits you. Okay, so the question really is if you trust yourself and if you trust in your abilities. Do you have faith in yourself? Okay, so that's all for this week, folks. So I'll see you again next week, same time, same channel. Tune into my channel for the messages for the next week. Bye.